back-to-back Rookies of the Year.
Goes to University of Memphis, gets his team into the NCAA final.
It's just one of the awards, I had a goal for since I've been in the NBA.
A national championship appearance.
To shield the defender and then clear.
4 straight years finishing in the top 5.
It's a 3. Sean Taggart, a 3. Chris Douglas Roberts, a 3.
Turned into missing the tournament.
Huskies are champions of the American Conference Tournament.
Disappointment.
Obviously there's a lot of things that we got to continue to get better.
And failure.
Just 2 seasons, including a 21-win campaign this year.
What happens when a college basketball program slows down its own momentum? What's going on? It's Benji here, and today I'm going to be covering the slow descent of Memphis basketball and what was done wrong. Our story starts in the summer of 2000. After his failed NBA coaching stint, John Calipari would return to the college level, this time at the University of Memphis. Memphis was a program that needed saving, a storied program that had started to decline after success in the early 1990s. Memphis needed to make a splash to save its program, and a splash was made. The Tigers would hire John Calipari after a short NBA stint would come to an end. After a rocky first season, the decision looked like it would pay off for Calipari and Memphis. A few up and down seasons would finally come to an end in 2005. In the 2005-2006 season, Memphis would run its way through the regular season and enter the NCAA tournament as a 1 seed. Their run would end to UCLA in the Elite Eight, but this season showed that the Tigers were back and Calipari was rolling. Memphis would use this momentum to make another Elite Eight appearance the following season as well. And then it happened. Memphis would sign one of the top players in the country in Derrick Rose. Rose was the final piece needed to get the Tigers over the hump. Calipari's team would run their way through the regular season, only losing 1 game along the way. This run would continue all the way to the national championship game. The Tigers would face their toughest feat yet in the Kansas Jayhawks. The Tigers would be just a few minutes away from winning their first national championship, but missed free throws and a Mario Chalmers shot would end their dreams.
Driving, almost lost the handle. Chalmers for the tie. Got it with 2 seconds.
The Tigers would fall just short. With a lot of production and pieces to replace, Calipari would face a tough challenge. But after landing Tyreke Evans, Calipari would successfully reload. Memphis would yet again make the NCAA tournament on a roll. Off the court, Memphis was also rolling on the recruiting trail and was lined up to bring in one of the best recruiting classes ever, headlined by DeMarcus Cousins and Xavier Henry. Not to mention John Wall and Eric Bledsoe were almost a lock to join them as well.
According to ESPNU, the top classes, the rankings show 2 of the top 4 players in America, Andy, have committed to Memphis, including the number 1.
But just as things seemed at an all-time high for Memphis, things would come crashing down quickly. Memphis would match up in the Sweet 16 against Missouri and would come up short. Then the following day, all eyes would shift to Kentucky with the firing of Billy Gillispie.
It was a much shorter run for Billy Gillispie at Kentucky than anyone could have imagined. But going to the NIT, ending the 17-year run of going to the NCAA tournament last year, going 18-13.
For Kentucky, it was a no-brainer who their next hire should be. And just a few days later, it was official. John Calipari would become the next head coach at the University of Kentucky. Now Memphis has an opening at its head position. But on an even worse note for Memphis, Calipari would take all his recruits with him besides Xavier Henry, who would commit to Kansas. Now on a more positive note, Memphis would be one of the hottest jobs in the country. Names like Bruce Pearl, Scott Drew, and others would float around for the job. Scott Drew was actually ready to take the job, but would back out last minute with some drama with the local media being rumored to have played a role. So now Memphis had to pivot another direction. But instead of hiring proven coaches ready to leave their current job, Memphis would hire internally with Josh Pastner. And it actually seemed like the perfect story. Pastner was a young assistant coach who had learned under Calipari for a couple of years. Pastner would need to retool the roster fast to continue the momentum Calipari had left for.
And I'm excited for the challenge to keep the standard of excellence at the highest level. We don't want to have any slippage. We want to keep it rocking and rolling.
But unfortunately for Memphis, this would start a slow fall of success. In August of Pastner's first season, more bad news would come to the university.
The NCAA announced Thursday that the school has been stripped of its record 38-win Final Four season under coach John Calipari.
Memphis would lose its appeal in the Derrick Rose situation, and Rose would be deemed academically ineligible for the 2008 season, stripping Memphis of the entire season and forcing punishments on the program. Pastner would need to navigate around these challenges to find success at Memphis. And after an average first season, Pastner would find success in the first few seasons, making the tournament 4 straight years with 2 Sweet 16 appearances. But after his core group would graduate, Pastner would majorly struggle to find the same success. After 2 years of mediocreness, both sides would decide to part ways. Now Memphis would be without a head coach once again, but this time the job was a whole lot less appealing and the pool for coaches was a lot less smaller.
Tubby Smith introduced this afternoon as the new coach at Memphis.
Memphis would ultimately opt for Tubby Smith to fill in. With not many names to pick from, the university would hire Smith hoping he could reach the heights he reached in past seasons. But after a few bad seasons at Texas Tech, the trend would continue at Memphis and the program would struggle more than ever. Attendance was at an all-time low and people overall just lost interest in the program. It was clear right away Tubby wasn't the coach he once was, and just after 2 seasons he would be fired.
All right, fellas. Coach, are you still the head coach? No.
Now the Memphis job was as unappealing as ever. Although Memphis's coach search would be pretty short-lived and they would opt in to hire Memphis legend Penny Hardaway. Now while having a name like Penny Hardaway was great for the university on paper and for bringing national attention back, Penny actually had no college coaching experience and only a handful of years coaching AAU and high school basketball. And while the hype for Memphis basketball was back, the success was still missing. Penny would struggle his first few years as it was apparent he was thrown into the fire. Adjusting on the fly in uncontrollable circumstances have been a main part of his stint. Fast forward to 2025 and Penny has actually shown that he could be a solid coach, but the success for Memphis is still missing. So far, Penny's tenure can be summed up as overall disappointing. Looking back, it's disappointing to see how the program slowly faded away and is still searching for the success they once had years later. Unfortunately, they made the wrong hire to be the successor of Calipari. They had all sorts of people wanting the job, but took a gamble and it failed. Their gamble would cause the downfall of the program over the next few years. And yet another bad hire in Tubby Smith would nearly send the program into irrelevancy altogether. But currently Penny has them trending in the right direction, even though it's been a slow climb back to where a program like Memphis should be. Hopefully the success of the program will be restored soon.